As India approached New Year's Eve 2025, the country's booming food delivery ecosystem found itself at the center of a critical test involving labor relations, consumer expectations, and platform economics. Zomato and Swiggy, the two dominant players in India's food delivery market, announced higher payouts and special incentives for delivery partners to ensure uninterrupted services during one of the busiest nights of the year. While the companies framed these measures as part of their routine festive operations, the timing clearly intersected with a nationwide strike called by gig worker unions, highlighting deeper structural tensions within the gig economy. New Year's Eve traditionally witnesses a massive surge in food orders across urban India. Restaurants, cloud kitchens, and home-based food businesses depend heavily on app-based platforms to reach customers celebrating at home. For Zomato and Swiggy, uninterrupted service on December 31 is not only a matter of revenue, but also brand reliability. Any large-scale disruption could lead to customer dissatisfaction, loss of trust, and reputational damage. Anticipating these risks, both platforms rolled out temporary incentive structures aimed at keeping a sufficient number of delivery partners active during peak hours. Zomato announced enhanced per-order payouts during the evening window between 6 p.m. and midnight, when demand typically peaks. Delivery partners were promised significantly higher earnings per order compared to normal days, along with the possibility of earning several thousand rupees over the course of the day, depending on order volume. In addition, Zomato relaxed certain performance-linked penalties, such as those related to order cancellations or refusals, to reduce pressure on riders during the hectic evening hours. Swiggy adopted a similar strategy, offering high peak-hour incentives and advertising the potential for delivery partners to earn substantial amounts over New Year's Eve and New Year's Day combined. These announcements were communicated directly to delivery partners through in-app notifications and messages, emphasizing the opportunity to maximize earnings during the festive rush. However, these incentive hikes unfolded against the backdrop of growing discontent among gig workers across India. Several gig worker unions and collectives had called for a nationwide strike on December 31, following a similar protest on December 25. The strike aimed to draw attention to long-standing grievances related to declining earnings, unsafe working conditions, lack of social security, and what workers describe as arbitrary algorithmic control by platforms. Union leaders claimed that a large number of delivery workers across major cities had pledged to log off their apps and refuse orders on New Year's Eve, potentially disrupting food delivery and quick commerce services. At the core of the workers' dissatisfaction is the perception that real earnings have stagnated or declined over time. While platforms frequently advertise high earning potential during peak periods or festivals, many delivery partners argue that such days are exceptions rather than the norm. On regular days, they say, base pay per order has reduced, incentives have become harder to achieve, and rising fuel costs, vehicle maintenance expenses, and inflation have eroded take-home income. As a result, workers feel increasingly dependent on long hours and risky riding behavior to make ends meet. Safety concerns form another major pillar of the protests. Delivery partners often work under strict time pressure, driven by customer expectations and platform algorithms that reward faster deliveries. Workers argue that ultra-short delivery timelines encourage speeding, traffic violations, and unsafe riding, increasing the risk of accidents. Several unions have specifically demanded the removal of extremely short delivery commitments, stating that no incentive is worth the cost of life or serious injury. For many riders, New Year's Eve is particularly risky due to congested roads, drunk driving, and heightened police checks. Beyond pay and safety, gig workers have repeatedly raised concerns about their lack of formal employment status. Most delivery partners are classified as independent contractors rather than employees, which means they do not receive benefits such as paid leave, health insurance, accident compensation, or retirement security. While some platforms offer limited insurance coverage, workers argue that these measures are insufficient and inconsistently applied. Account deactivations without clear explanations or grievance redressal mechanisms further add to their sense of insecurity, as a sudden ban can instantly cut off their only source of income. In response to growing unrest, some state governments have begun exploring regulatory frameworks for gig work. Telangana, for instance, moved forward with a gig and platform workers' welfare bill aimed at improving social security and working conditions for platform workers. At the national level, the Code on Social Security includes provisions for gig and platform workers, but implementation has been slow and uneven. Many workers remain skeptical about whether these legal frameworks will translate into meaningful protection on the ground. The New Year's Eve situation thus represented a clash between short-term operational needs and long-term structural challenges. For Zomato and Swiggy, increasing payouts was an immediate solution to ensure service continuity during peak demand. For many workers, however, these temporary incentives were seen as tactical moves designed to weaken the strike rather than genuine attempts to address underlying problems. Some delivery partners chose to work on New Year's Eve to take advantage of higher earnings, while others stayed away in solidarity with the strike, reflecting a divided response within the workforce. From the consumer's perspective, the impact of the strike and incentive measures varied by location. In some cities, food delivery services continued largely uninterrupted, albeit with higher delivery fees or longer wait times. In other areas, users reported difficulty placing orders or finding available delivery partners, especially during peak evening hours. These mixed experiences underscored the fragile balance on which app-based services operate, relying on a large, motivated, and available workforce to meet fluctuating demand. The events surrounding New Year's Eve 2025 highlighted a broader question facing India's digital economy. How sustainable is the current gig work model? Platforms have grown rapidly by offering flexibility and low entry barriers for workers, while providing convenience and affordability to consumers. Yet as the workforce matures and expectations evolve, tensions around fair pay, dignity of labor, and social security are becoming more pronounced. Temporary incentives during festivals may keep services running in the short term, but they do little to resolve deeper issues of trust and equity between platforms and workers. Ultimately, the payout hikes by Zomato and Swiggy on New Year's Eve served as both a practical business decision and a symbol of the growing bargaining power of gig workers. The ability of workers to collectively disrupt services during critical periods has forced platforms, policymakers, and the public to pay closer attention to their concerns. As India's gig economy continues to expand, the challenge will be to find a balance that ensures innovation and efficiency while providing workers with fair pay, safety, and security. The developments of New Year's Eve 2025 may well be remembered as a moment that brought these unresolved tensions into sharper focus.